Okay, so I'm composing some music here, and at the end of this song, I want to have this one and this one by themselves. This one sounds like, and the other one sounds like. So they just add a little bit of flair to the very end of this song. The problem being, within 15 minutes, the player that I'm playing them on times out, because it's a demo. That's because I have a free contact player. The instrument itself is free, but the player is just the free version, so it only plays demos of these extra external instruments. But I was curious, so I went to check it out, and I can actually put these in within 15 minutes of exporting, and then export the song with them in there. So it's like a workaround to the demo. As long as I don't have too many of these in my track, which I don't, I just have these two at the very end, then I could just pop these in at the end just before I export, and I still get to use them, even though it's just the demo version of the player. So I thought that was cool. I'm hoping that I can purchase the full version of that player pretty soon, because it opens up a lot of doors that are closed to me right now, but this free version is functional, so I'm just working with it. Today was a little weird. I went through my backlog of musical theater stuff. I have multiple playlists on YouTube of musicals that I just go back to every once in a while to listen to while I'm drawing or whatever. So I went through all of them looking for solos or bits from songs that I could use for auditions, and then I compiled all of those into my watch later bin so that I could go back through and try to find sheet music for some of them and sort of create a audition repertoire that I could have whenever I go in for auditions or whatever. This wasn't planned or anything, I just was watching a musical and there was a great solo in it that I could use for an audition, and I decided that I needed to finally compile a bunch of options for whenever I needed to have options. Beyond that, I did work a little more on my secret project, and that's about it. These arrived in the mail, and that means I get to add more to my hex chart of Copic markers. SG14. There it is. Found it. And then these. I already have pistachio. Where's G40? Is there even a numbering scheme here? G40. Finally, G46. Boom. What's up? I am currently employed in now singing all of the songs I compiled from yesterday. I'm singing in the rain to see which ones fit in my range and which sections of it work. Oh, what a beautiful morning! Later today, I plan to go do some music theory. I'm learning as I make more music that music theory is kind of essential. I mean, I knew that, but, like, now it's adamant, and I don't know much theory beyond the basics, so I want to expand that knowledge. I mean, I found a lot of videos on theory and then plenty more on composition, and I'm just gonna work my way through them. That's what I do whenever I learn new stuff. I always just like go headfirst into it. I tend to learn new things in spurts. I just feel like learning this thing, so I'll just, you know, jump in and learn as much as I can in like a couple days. That's my learning style. Anyways, that's what I'm doing today. I've been diving headfirst today into the music theory I was talking about. This one in particular is very British because the names are different, like a whole note and a quarter note and a half note here. He keeps calling them like quavers or semiquavers or crotchets. So that's interesting. One other thing I found out that was interesting that I never really thought about before was that when you have two or more eighth notes together, tied eighth notes or whatever you call them, which way do you put the stem, up or down? Apparently the rule is the side that has more wins out, or if it's equal, the side that's furthest away from the middle wins out. So I never thought about it before, but I guess that makes sense. I have been wearing these socks all day, and somehow my feet have remained at the same time both sweaty and really cold. These are really fuzzy socks. It's like warmed my feet already. So I just got a haircut and I'm headed out to take a small sample of footage from, because I'm here, I'll just go out in the woods to get a good shot. I'm doing a little mini project on color grading. I just need something to experiment with. So I'm finished with the color grading experiment. Here's the steps that I took. So I just got this simple shot, tried to get it as smooth as I could handheld, and then stabilized it with warp stabilizer, which you can kind of see at the end. It warbles a little bit. The first thing I did was basic correction. The second thing I did after the basic correction was I upped the vibrance, but I desaturated it a little bit. And then finally I applied a pre-made LUT or look to it, and then added a little bit of extra blue in the shadows to get a dramatic feel. Finally I added a dark vignette to really push the drama. After that I reverted it back to the original desaturated look, and then went for a bold different direction. By masking out the color of the trees, the yellow in the trees, I used this really cool tool that you can select what color that you want the program to search for, and then edit only parts of the image that are that color. So I changed all the yellow of the leaves to a much greener look, and included a vignette. And finally, I went for the other side of the color wheel with a really orange autumn look. This one was looking just altogether too much the same color, so I went in and created a mask and had that mask track itself through the clip to the ground area where there's less leaves, and then I took down the exposure slightly and made it a more desaturated ground color as opposed to the bright orange of the leaves, so that it would have a bit of a different tone. None of these three looks are perfect. I was just playing around with the settings, but I was really excited to see what I could come up with and just how different I could make one shot feel. Add some extremely different music cues behind these and you can get some really different emotions. I just discovered another mind-blowing musical thing I did not know. I had never noticed this before, but it turns out the bass clef is the treble clef, just 2 notes down. I thought you might like to see the sketches that have got me to this point in this new illustration that I'm doing, because they're particularly bad. This was the first one I did, just sketching out a basic idea of what I was thinking. The idea is that it's supposed to be a MIDI keyboard plugged in to all these different virtual orchestra instruments. So that was the basic concept that I was playing around with. And then I did a second sketch to get a better idea of what I was wanting. Pianos, I had waveforms here that I had the idea to do. And then these chords are supposed to be like, you know, the chords that represent the keyboard going to the instruments, but it ended up looking messy that way. And this was just basic placement of the instruments is what I was doing here. This was like ideas, and then when I had an idea of what I was going for, I did a bit more detail, just sketching exactly where I wanted them to go. And then this one, following this sketch, I started out by doing the parts that I knew I could get right easily, and then inking those so that I didn't have to worry about them. And then I sketched out this part from the other one more carefully, and then I'll probably finish it Monday. So that's all for this week. I'll see you next week.